Thought is only interested in maintaining its continuity and status quo by UG Krishnamurti. Hello everyone, this is BB Flower, author of the series All Kal None. It is a romantic fantasy science fiction novel available on Amazon as ebook and paperback and free to read with Kindle Unlimited or Amazon Prime membership. I'll start today's topic of status quo with UG's quote, "The only change is to maintain status quo." During the conversation, when he made this statement, someone asked UG something, and UG's reply ended with, "We don't experience anything other than what we know." That person clarified by saying, "So we are just experiencing the past? It is repetitive?" UG confirmed it by saying, "It is a repetitive process, experiencing the same thing over and over again. That is why we are born hoping that one day we will find something extraordinary, some new experience. The moment you say that it is something which you have not experienced before, that it is a new experience, it means that it has already become part of the past experience mechanism." And during this conversation, UG also said that he keeps referring to the fact that he stumbled into whatever he was or the state that he was in. UG went on to explain that anybody who comes and listens to me and tries to understand what I'm trying to put across is wasting his time because there is no way you can listen to anything without interpretation. The interpreter is the reference point, which is you. You are the product of the totality of all the thoughts, experiences, and feelings of every form of life that existed before you. Thought is only interested in maintaining its continuity and status quo. It does not want any change. So that's what UG said. But as humans living in a society with all the problems of fitting in and earning a living, can we accept that? We never want to accept that there is nothing more to gain. At the same time, like UG said, we want to do what we want to do, but society says some or most of it is wrong, unacceptable, or even punishable by law. We are in conflict with the society at some point in our lives. Because of that, everybody is in conflict with nature and society at some point in their lives. And this conflict keeps things moving. But then there is a pull to stop and move in the opposite direction, kind of like gravity or inertia, maintaining the status quo. The situation builds up frustrations. The conflict with society. You want to do or not do something, but societal standards don't approve of it, or it doesn't accept you the way you are. So this societal pressure and natural inclination pull that may be in the opposite direction could cause mental health issues. Our mental health is always proportional to our acceptance by the society. UG said mental illness was statistical definition, going back to the 51% logic and normalization that I spoke of a few podcasts ago, which is nothing but the acceptable norms are when 51% of people approve of it. There is a fantastic quote on social taboos by UG. "Social attitudes may be changing, but your actions are still considered to be antisocial. Your guru has given you the license and cover, so you don't feel guilty or immoral or impure." So what UG said is that by formalizing anything as a way to live or even simplistic life or survival of organism or that body is everything, etc., etc., we have actually hidden behind secondhand words from a guru and stuck that label to maybe UG. I mean, sure, whatever floats your boat, but why hide behind a guru's name for that? Because we want to do what we want to do. And we just need someone to say that this is the right thing to do. again, a certification or validation or acceptance, or even a veil to hide behind and continue to do what we want to do. Who else better than someone whom we can put as the highest authority? And that includes me. I'm saying a lot of things I otherwise might not, and the social media cover is also a good thing to hide behind. Although my identity is out there. You all know who I am. I'm not taking a cover other than Yuji's words that I'm using. Another extreme example is defense system of a given country. Killing a human being is punishable by law as such. One can even get a death sentence for that. But if it is done in the name of protecting your country, it is okay. US went to war with so many countries. Over the years, it has. Even other countries have gone to war with so many other countries in the name of religion or protecting their border. So many men and women died from both sides, protecting what they were told was to be protected and that it was okay to kill for it. But then we open the borders and let people in as refugees or as skilled worker. We have all these lines that if you look closely and analyze it, you might be able to see the absurdity in it. Or not. If you're too colluded, you might not. We were watching James Bond movie the other day, and me and my husband were thinking that he has license to kill. He was just killing people left, right, and center. But if he gets a scratch, we feel bad. And at the same time, so many people were gunned down by him in the movie, and that was of no relevance to anyone. It is all because we believe one person is right and the other one is not. And so it is okay for one to kill and for one to die. All our legal powers have license to kill. As I said, defense system and homeland police, a soldier putting a bullet through another human in the name of self-defense or protect borders has license to do that from an idea called defending your country. PTSD is real in many veterans because inertia or status quo is probably what they have inside them to let it be. And they cannot make sense of the people they killed or watched die protecting something that they were made to believe is theirs. In many cases, it is civilians. Now, to me, there is no difference between an army men or the civilians. They're all, belonging to the same country, so it doesn't matter. But another angle to this is that some people might enjoy this, killing in the name of protecting. We have communities and alliances from tribal days to protect from the interference from the outside world. Even animals guard their territory. Yuji had once said that atomic bomb is extension of your police. It's a threat and license on hold to destroy another set of humans that don't agree with the idea of living and preserving the status quo of our society. Developed countries seal the border so that they can remain developed. Open up the borders and it will normalize. So, for better or worse, this opening up the border and normalizing could be for better or worse. But it will normalize. Only it would be too damn stupid to start another revolution to defund police or remove nuke weapons. Because that's what it would mean to open up the borders. Now, NATO and Western countries want to be what they want to be, leaders, all the while chanting, sharing is caring by contributing to UN, apparently ending child hunger. And my series All Call None has an interesting take on this. The main character in it wants to stop humans from breeding because population is the only cause of all the issues. Of course, another character does not believe in it because she's a human. And so we would rather work on ending what we started than get to the root of it. Like Elon Musk keeps asking how sharing his wealth will and hunger, presenting himself as someone who is saving the planet. We as humans first determine what is a real problem that is within my circle of empathy, and then we decide to give or share on our terms. It is explained, I think, in my money podcast very well. This attitude is deep rooted in humans, and country is just an abstract expression or the collective expression of all of us. Nobody wants homeless in their own yard. No developed countries want this flood of poor people on their land. So we have borders. Given all these differences and obvious contrasts, why an illusion of peace is even there? There is no peace, never will be. It is a personal and cultural idea to have an agenda to feel good. Now, alliances are being formed on communist side in the East, and it's hard to tell if that reaction and response is 2 years of status quo and show of strength from richer Western nations, or it's an attempt to have some fight for a piece of cake, to be a world leader. These problems are complicated and bigger than us, but at the same time not different from conflicts within human as an individual. Yuji's quote, "We want to change and not change, both at the same time." And this quote is very valid. We want to be inert but seek transformation, mutual benefit and preservation of ourselves and our belonging, and fear of other one blowing up my glass house is what protects the status quo, or the actions that go into maintaining status quo, until one rogue person starts pelting stone at the glass house from within. And that's when radical revolutions happen and redistribution of power. But core of human thinking doesn't change. It is a shift, but nothing new in bigger picture. We don't want to share but hoard. We want everything in excess, and that's our basic nature in the name of future savings. Maybe only the one who doesn't have much to look forward to will not worry about future, like these homeless people experiments that we see on YouTube, that they share money and food given to them with others, even though they have so little. Not saying that they are now our ideal. They are also a part of the diverse wildlife in this jungle called society. So as long as we have a stamp of validity we get from external world or knowledge gathered to convince us it's logical, and as a product of mind thinking, we agree and rationalize it, totally disregarding karma consequences. Karma would be a good topic for next podcast. Okay, so Yuji's quote that it's fear that would keep things together and not love or peace, that is the essence defining us as humans. You know that quote. We mask our gory agenda by factoring fear in the equation. Yuji explained that in correlation with how a cell in our body knows its survival depends on survival of the adjoining cell. That's what keeps the survival going of the body as whole. One rogue cancer cell can take over the body as long as there is enough support from others. It's said that cancerous growth is detected and the body knows one from another, but our body doesn't discriminate. It doesn't care what cell is growing within it. So it's sort of an internal revolution of cells. Then we have external intervention and concepts of inertia, where things will remain in motion or resting state until external force is applied. And so growth will keep going along with the other body functions until cancer takes over in number. Life force again has final call on this. Perhaps a speculation on my part. In my Life Force podcast, I have theorized that the energy or the Shakti in us is what decides when to leave the body. Anyway, Now we have invented concept of innocent people when it comes to diseases, misfortune, or war. But who is innocent? The children, the weak, economically poor perhaps, but they are all dying every moment anyway. Maybe when we were sipping an expensive coffee or giggling or laughing about something, we choose not to do anything about it. In my series, there is this saying that it is all news unless it's personal. That is why we have limited circle of empathy and figured out a way to live without making it personal. Absolutely nothing wrong with it, but just because you woke up one day and you want to use the poor helpless state of those victims, go about presenting others to help with their cause, like being patriotic is considered noble because you are then somehow indebted to country that provides you, and then you are a part of that bigger idea community. But the one who beats the drum of patriotism and war necessities, the leader, the protector of weak, etc., that person hides in the safety of their home, sending the soldiers to put their life on risk, selling them these ideas of protecting the border, fighting and dying for their country. Gandhi, during India's War of Independence, had an idea of non-cooperation movement. It just meant that we don't participate in your belief system, a protest against the running system. So maybe the next revolution that's already happening is socialist shift in America and the West. There will always be enough people to support the cause and stand behind what West stands for and preserve it. However, there is also a growing discontentment from the inside. These external conflicts are nothing but manifestations of our own conflicts at human level. Need to be special but not stand out as odd. And my series puts this across many times, how our human world is all about being different, but wanting to be accepted as equal to others, the one that you don't identify with. Sadly, you and I are no experts in world politics and have very little say in that. So coming back to human level, if an individual wants to hide away from the past in this fast-paced society, they pick another approach and hone on minimalism as their mantra. If an individual wants to freely express and pursue their desires, like engage in drugs, partying, or sex, etc., then that becomes their mantra. If an individual wants to be rude and bash all religious beliefs, then that new belief becomes their mantra, all provided by some guru they chose to believe in, an individual talking of another belief system that they have now built inside them. When we have conflict of wanting to do something that we have been told not to do, or some internal knowledge raises a little discomfort, that is when we look for cover or license of approval. So we use our guru. Not saying one should or shouldn't follow a guru, but we anyway do what we are comfortable with at a given moment. Paradox is that what is right or wrong will only be known after the fact, not before. In a machine learning model, there is a feedback loop which tells the machine if it got it right or wrong, so it can improve its decisions, build on itself favorably. We can only add more experiences and knowledge and strengthen that movement to keep making predictions and keep moving, just like the helpless AI machines, depending on validation and acceptance. There is an interesting blog on Yuji that I will link below for your read. In that, Yuji had said that I am not a god man. I would rather be called a fraud. So I know that I and the rest of Yuji followers like to fit whatever Yuji said into their framework so that we can continue to do what we are doing and kind of be the ostrich with our heads buried in the sand. I suppose it is fine as a coping mechanism because anyone looking for Yuji, JK, Muji, or Sadhguru are somehow frustrated with their lives. They are unable to be who they are, or they can't accept who they are, or that they don't know who they are. Some sort of depression or mental issues makes them look for such people, a guru. But question is, who are we to tell or save someone? Like Yuji said, nobody gave one mandate to save someone. And repeating that society and thought is the enemy only strengthens the conflict in depressed people, because there is no way out of this society or shut the thoughts from flowing into us. So are we the victims of the society? Park this idea for a moment. Let's try to connect with the thought structure and society. I don't like the abstract of mind, thought, etc., because personally I can relate more with concrete ideas of navigation in the world around me, like a baby discovering its surrounding on its own, maybe eating mud, and perhaps Lord Krishna's story of whole, Brahman or the universe inside his mouth was just that. For those who don't know the story, Krishna's adopted mother Yashoda saw him playing in the mud, and she forced him to open his mouth and show if he ate mud. And he denied it first, but then he opened his mouth, and the mother, or Yashoda, saw the whole universe in there. Perhaps a moment of truth hit Yashoda when she realized a baby eating mud has a lot more to offer than all our mechanical conditioning, societal conditioning, and that Krishna was one with the element soil, or that whatever he ate became one with the creation. Again, all of that can be put and experienced by us into one big bucket of mass and energy, or when I can perceive, and even a baby can perceive, something tangible, something that can be experienced by our senses, by eating, like a bare bone first computer, the microprocessors that started before PC, the personal computer. It is a processor, memory, input and output device. What's in the basic board is a few instructions that it reads from memory and lights up few LEDs, and it is us making sense of the output. We have the interpretations to say when the LED lights up in a certain way what it means. And this bare bone microprocessor evolves into this massive high-powered computer with AI logic, like us humans linked to mind network, processing thoughts and evolving with each experience. If you look inside an idle computer, nothing is happening, and when an input is fed in it, the computer itself does not relate to the output. All it does is process the data given and outputs it. It could be an image, an important information, or simple calculation. The computer doesn't care at all. And so the hardware of this computer is nothing but charges held in some sequence and mapping that are interlinked. We are the ones who make sense of the output as an image, mathematical solution, etc. It is based on the common agreed upon answer we would expect. Example, if the computer was printing out or displaying an image, it is just pixels to the computer, but something sensible to us. So Krishna's mother, Yashoda, experiencing the universe was more about her than Krishna. Just another perspective. Krishna was one with the creation. It was all the same to him, but the mother was so baffled that she fainted. Going back to this idea of being the victims of our society that I asked you to part, let's bring that back in, or being unable to fit in. We identifying as the victims in any given scenario is sort of from our thoughts, or playing out scenarios using our knowledge and experiences, because life is hard. And when it doesn't work out the way we want, it breeds frustrations and depression over time. Even the so-called survival instinct is, again, coming from some sort of memory or programming. The kernel level programming, perhaps. This continuous frustrations to cope with surroundings, we have been now programmed to think we are somehow victims of the stranglehold of thought, as we need to be freed from it. And what we call nature or creation, etc., is superior to us. Let's assume a situation where people never come in the knowledge of spiritual or religious stuff and remain unaffected by emotions, who operate objectively. For them, there is no problem except to maintaining the continuity of life until a snag with society arises, because society demands acceptance of its standard ideas. Now, the snag gives rise to conflict, followed by depression, that which is followed by refuge in philosophy, gurus, and whatnot. Yuji had said selectivity in machines would mean end of their usefulness to us. And I have discussed this in my AI podcast. If the AI that is self-evolving starts to take decisions against our command, it will be of no use to us. So this selectivity by Yuji implies to self-reflection or self-learning, autonomous decision-making. The AI we are building is by mimicking the AI that's operating in us. And if this I or the AI is all but thoughts and ideas, and we have lived for a long time, we would continue as an idea again, with sum total of all experience, knowledge, archive distributed across the universe in every cell or atom by the law of inertia. A simple propensity to retain the native or acquired tendencies. Then again, that makes us conclude society or thought is the culprit here, and we are somehow victims. As such, there is nothing to even say survival is good or the way to go. There is no universal truth implied or ingrained in us or elsewhere. Even facts of nature are bound by time horizon. No such thing as forever. Or, as I have said in my series, there is no such thing as unaffected forever. And by that logic, maybe over the course of trillion light years, I'm simply throwing a number here, the basic accepted theories of laws of gravity or element behaviors might not be constant. All these things that we have built based on the chemical properties could change. Just pure speculation, but that could happen. Mutation is a phenomenon. In the foreseeable horizon, the idea I is all that we care about to continue. We never think of the constants that we have come to take for granted, the chemical properties that we have built our world on. We never stop to wonder if that might just change with a snap of a finger. Now, going back to society, despite of our frustrations and depression, we will continue to live, maintain the status quo by giving some justification to cope with the misery. Clutches, like Yuji said, and these clutches are dug in too deep. Now, to cope up with the misery, we resort to many things, as I said before. A very prevalent one at the moment is non-duality technique. Another practice or system where you claim to understand the one that cannot be understood. Dismiss everything as play or illusion, kind of make-believe mode of living. If that works for you, fine. It's coping mechanism to survive in this world. Nothing wrong with it at all. But it's in no way different to maybe a serial killer who needs his next victim. It's all about maintaining one's status quo. How do you differentiate when practicing non-duality and discriminate between a drug addict, a killer, a sinner, or a follower? One is socially acceptable and the other one is not. So no matter how much you run around screaming about non-duality, you are still going to conform to this society. You cannot do anything that is not acceptable to this society. Then we as non-dualists start applying specific rules like, oh, my method is not the same as the despicable human out there. It's holier than thou principle. So non-dual, right? In fact, a serial killer or a drug addict have better clarity on what they want than someone who hides behind a philosophy to do what they want to do anyway. Some people give an analogy of guru as the yogurt that turns the milk into yogurt, But then problem with analogies is that they are reductionist theories. It's logically appealing, but there is no objectivity. They're only subjective theories. Like nothing is happening. In my series, I have affirmed that everything is an illusion. But it is personalized, so it is happening. It is happening for us. Whatever we look at is personal observation meant for us. In reality, guru is what the follower make of the guy whom they use to get licensed to do whatever they want to do, or to get certification of their frustrations, validation of their state of mind, which otherwise minded could be eligible for 5150. Society almost appears to be only interested in having more numbers of like-minded people, part of a blockchain, mining more knowledgeable blocks and keep everyone linked. That is why it's not going to leave anyone behind who otherwise might be unfit to survive in nature. Even disabled ones now deserve a place in society, because thought doesn't discriminate. It knows how to best use the host, the body, to continue surviving. Survival of the thought, by the way. And why shouldn't it survive? It's come from the creation after all. Not that my vote counts, but I'm rooting for the thought here. Because if I'm the thought, then thoughts' lives matter. Now, this thought lives through us, and understanding that Yuji's method appears to be kicking back to where you belong, back in the society. Reinstate the inertia with action. Latch on to whatever makes you deal with the society, guru, or any other philosophy. It's all cool. Well, this is author PB Flower signing off. Peace out.